What if I told you this became this and I didn't shoot a single frame? AI tools are getting crazy. I recently did this video where I took a song and made an AI song into a human song, and then I made a music video with a bunch of AI tools. If you saw my previous video, you can see how I made the song. This is the follow-up to that video to talk about the music video. I want to talk about what I did, what my workflows were, what sort of tools and platforms I used, and I want to share that with you so you can do it on your own. And that leads me to what this channel is all about. Welcome to Dunger Zone. My name is David Unger. I'm an artist, creative, a marketing professional in tech, and this channel is dedicated to helping artists and business professionals use the latest, coolest AI tech out there in an optimistic way so that it feels like we're sort of advancing our art and abilities and not necessarily being replaced by this crazy tech. So that's the mission of the channel. If you're into it, subscribe, leave me some comments. Let's get into this one. This all started with the vision and story of my song. The song is it's a love song, and it's a story of a couple falling in love. And so I thought, okay, how do we tell that in a way that's unique? And so I started experimenting with some styles. I think my first thought was, let's get this to be not something that you see every day, but still tied to things that are normal. I don't want it to be weird or anything. So I don't know how I came to it, but I thought, let's try origami, paper art, and stop-go motion and smash those two things together and see what we get. So I kind of prompted that in my head as this is my story, this is what I'm trying to do. And then I started figuring out like, okay, how do I get that out of my head into what is possible with the AI tech of the summer of 2025. This is my music video that I used VO3 and Google Flow to generate, along with a lot of Adobe software. And let's take a look.
Here we are, we fall together like a parachute in stars, burning through the sky, the universe is ours.
Let's talk about how I made this. I went into Gemini. First, I started prompting video. I was like, hey, make me a video of this and put it in the style, and it was not doing a good job.
Brother, what's that, brother?
So then I thought, okay, what if I just get images? So this is like an example here. Western landscape with a woman and a man riding side by side on horseback, silhouetted by the sun. Stock vector art, origami style. It's a pretty basic prompt. Gave me this, and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Actually, I liked this one. This one actually ends up in the music video. But you can see I just started prompting all of these ideas. And you can see like this becomes the music video. A lot of this inspired the music video. I'd say 99% of it I probably didn't use. This is one of those things where I can see people being irritated with AI because in order to get what you want, you really have to throw a lot of spaghetti at the wall, and that causes a lot of electricity consumption. One day the AI will be able to really quickly get what's in your head out into imagery and video, but until then we're going to be burning through power, so I can see how that's frustrating. So I got all of these images. There's like probably hundreds and hundreds of images, a lot that didn't make it into the video, and then, some that did. So this is one that ended up in the video, for example. What this did is it got me this sort of square image, and I wanted to make a 16:9 aspect ratio music video, a widescreen. So in order to do that, I had to take this image, and then I had to bring it into Photoshop. And so I'd use the tool to get rid of the AI watermarks. That's the first thing I did. And then I would do a generative expand to give me all sorts of room on the edges. But then I would slam this generative expand, and I wouldn't even prompt anything. Sometimes I would, but most of the time it's just gonna like look at this information and then pattern it out. So it'll probably, like for this one, shape the hills up and out probably. So I would take this image, I'd save it, and then I'd bounce it out.
That's what she said.
I would then save them and I'd bring them over to some software called Google Flow.
Excuse me, Flo?
Now what Flow does is it basically takes prompts and makes video portraits of whatever you prompt in there. It gives you some flexibility. There are some built-in like camera moves and that kind of thing. And I originally started here, and actually I'm going to show you an example of what I'm like some of the problem here. So if I did this in Flow, I'm just going to copy this exact prompt. If I just went to Flow and I said, here's what Flow looks like, by the way. This is it. It's kind of like Gemini or any other LLM. You sort of prompt it in here. So I'm going to prompt text to video as one of the options. I'm going to take that prompt that I took from Gemini. I'm going to go ahead and waste some credits. I should have done one video. Anyway, we'll let that process. The point I'm going to make here is that when you prompt something directly in Flow, it gives you much less control because you have to prompt, here's the image, and then hopefully it gives you the right action and the right camera moves or whatever. If you put the photo directly into Flow and then all you worry about is the action, it gives you a much better result. And that's kind of the workflow I got to. Instead of having to prompt, I want an origami world that's a California desert with a car in it, it's all made out of paper textures, and this is the style and the color, whatever. You do all of that work over in Gemini with Imagen 3, and instead you just work on the action. So I want this car drives down the road, origami, smoke trails behind the truck with layers of paper, stop-go motion style. It becomes a very easy prompt. Now, it gives you some crazy results, and that's why there's so many of these prompts. You know, it took me, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 generations to find one that I liked, because it will do some crazy stuff. Like that. Not necessarily a fan of that. Smoke, kind of cool. I don't know. You know, sometimes it'll go backwards, like this. Ooh. I didn't ask it to go backwards. This is what I'm talking about, where like the AI is wasting a lot of energy on just generating video for the sake of generating video. It'll get better. But through my Russian roulette of pulling the slot machine, I did get the images I wanted. I think all said and done, it was like maybe $100 worth of credits on top of a pro account, which I think I got like 3,000 credits a month. So I think all in all, I spent $100 or something, maybe 150, somewhere in there. So anyway, let's go back to what I was just doing though. Let's go back over here. Okay, so now that this is prompted, here's what I'm trying to show you. Like this doesn't do it. Like, what is it doing? A little bit of a rock there and a zoom in. That's not good. How about this? Oof, it's so bad. So that's my point. My point is you don't want to just, in my opinion and in my experience, you don't want to just prompt your entire vision in one tool right now. You want to break it up so that there's less load on one system. And so that's what I did. And as a result, I got all of these great shots. Another thing I wanted to do is, like, we were stuck in this sort of 8-second world where you only had 8 seconds of generated video before it cuts, and that's all you get. So I wanted some shots that were longer, and I wanted them to transition and do more things. And so, for example, the opening shot is actually 3 different prompted images. So I prompted one of an original cactus, and then I prompted another one of an AI paper origami cactus, which is right here. And then I prompted another one of a beetle walking on a hill. It's a freaking awesome transition. I was blown away when I saw that. In order to get that, Flow allows you some cool tricks. So this one, for example, I took the first frame being that paper cactus shot, and then I added a second frame, which is the beetle shot. I made this the first frame of that animation, and I made this the last frame of that animation. So when this animation stops, it immediately starts transitioning to the first frame of this next video. What that does is it gets you these really, really cool transitions. But that was, when I saw that, I was like, yes. So now I've essentially taken this transition as now a new shot. The animation of the cactus sort of transitioning from the real cactus to the paper one is one shot, and then the beetle walking is another shot. And so I've got 3 shots, which is like 16 seconds now, right? Is my math good? No, my math is terrible. 24 seconds, right? 8 times 3? So 24 seconds of video, and then obviously I sped things up and slowed them down to get this nice transition, and I did that in Premiere in my edit. And so that was kind of what I think made the video for me, is that I would get these cool transitions and I'd connect these things, which made them feel much more dynamic, and it didn't feel like a series of like 8-second shots. Once I saw these transitions, I was like, okay, I'm onto something. This is cool, I like it. The time that it took to make this video, I think the whole project, including the music, was like 100 hours or something, but tens of hours went into prompting and testing and editing and compiling things and watching things fail. And that is not a great experience. But the point I'm making here is that with tenacity, I guess, and the open-mindedness and allowing the tech to also let you flow through ideas, because I didn't start with these images totally baked in my head. A lot of it came out of the prompts and a lot of it came out of testing. And so my advice on this whole thing is go into it with an open mind, see what you get, and let that be a part of your journey. Because right now I don't think we can totally distill what's in our head into the world of existence quite yet, although it's getting there. I also wanted to talk about this. I received a comment from somebody. I posted my whole story about how I made this on LinkedIn, and someone wrote a comment that I found interesting, and I struggled with it at first because I was like, hey, this is so cool, I'm excited by it. But then I got this kind of like, not a downer comment, but an interesting perspective that was like rooted in like, it could be better. At least that's how I interpreted it. Let me read you the comment. The comment says, I think AI shines when it is generating things a human could never do. When I see AI-generated cut paper animation, a very human and tactile material, my gut wants to believe it's human-made, then I'm disappointed that it's not. I weirdly long for imperfections that remind me a human poured love and craft into the art. Gen AI always leaves me cold and empty. I get that, I understand that. So I thought about that. I actually mulled over this comment for a couple days. This was my response. I said, thanks for this. I really appreciate you sharing your perspective. It's something I've been wrestling with a lot too. There's definitely magic to the imperfections that come from human hands, and I agree it's tough for AI to replicate that. You've got me thinking for my next project. I'm going to try something way more abstract and out there, something that a human couldn't traditionally create. And that's kind of where I'm at now. I totally agree. Like this, the weird thing about this is that you are indirectly competing with real animators, real paper artists, and real origami professionals who probably put thousands of hours into their craft to be able to make something like this. And here I am prompting it. And so I was, at the time, indirectly, I was trying to make it look as real as possible. And indirectly, I was competing with actual animators. It's an interesting observation that these things can make people disappointed and make them feel cold after watching it. I get it. So I sort of looked past my excitement of the video and looked past all the cool things I was getting out of it, and I thought, let's make this a challenge. And so maybe in my next one will be something that feels more rooted in the impossible and something that a traditional artist wouldn't normally do. We'll see. You let me know. Keep me honest.
Relax, relax. The needles are jumping.
Now you can see that this is very slow. It's not the right speed that I needed. And so I would take all of these shots and I'd load them into Adobe Premiere. And let me just show you this as an example. So this is actually a stacked 3-shot because I started with this realistic looking shot of a cactus that then becomes a paper cactus that then zooms into the beetle, right? And so if you look into the session here, it starts here on the sort of real cactus, transitions into a paper cactus, and then it's a little jittery there because it goes into the beetle starts walking. And that right there, we're looking at 12 seconds. So that originally was like 24 seconds or something, and I was able to sort of speed ramp things and cut it to the way I wanted it here in Premiere. And that's kind of like one of the secret sauces of all of this, is like it required me to know a lot of the editing skills to get a cohesive story and 3.5-minute video or however long this thing is to work. So I would have to load things into Adobe Premiere or Adobe After Effects to sort of stitch them together and mask things out. There's even some examples of like having to paint out certain things that I didn't like. This shot, for example, is a nested sequence. The head here is completely different than what came came out of the tool, and I had to like go in and mask that out. Oh, there's a turtle in there. Ignore the turtle. So like this, for example, if I hide this layer, you can see like it's a different head, different speed, different shape, everything, right? So I had to like stack these together and paint out the head to get it to work. You only get that by knowing these tools. And so the point I'm getting at is it's still not at the point where artistry is dead and you can just hit print and you get what's in your head out into a video and you're done. It's not quite there yet. Hopefully that still makes me an artist. I don't know. Anyway, it was a labor of love. I still think this is art. I don't know about you. Let me know what you think. Leave me some thoughts in the comments. I hope that this was informative. I hope that you are inspired and you take these ideas and you do something with it and share them with me. Please let me know what you think. Leave your thoughts, ideas, comments. I'm on this AI journey just like you are, and I'm hoping that we can learn together. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.